Dylan, you're a big fight guy. You've been covering some big fights. I know you're getting ready for Triple G and Canelo. As fights go, what's been the biggest farce? Mayweather-McGregor or the fight for LA?
Ooh, that's pretty good. You know what? I would actually have to say Mayweather-McGregor.
Really?
Yeah, because you know what? Like the fight for LA, at least it's two professional football teams, and actually the underdog, in this case the Chargers, have the better team, right? So I actually think that by the end of this football season, like all kidding aside, as much as I've been making fun of the Chargers, I think they're going to wind up ahead of the Rams just because by virtue of having a better season.
Now, what do you think? What do you define though as by winning that? Is it by attention, by ratings? We know it's not going to be attendance because they play in a soccer stadium. But what do you think what the Chargers would consider a dent in their fight?
They have to have a winning record. I mean, I think, or at least win more than the Rams. I just can't. I have a lot of trouble, despite the progress we've seen from Jared Goff. I still have trouble kind of seeing them kind of taking the next step and, becoming like a semi-competitive team. Because last year they basically just weren't competitive at all. And I think that, kind of the next step in progress is probably that in-between step between not competitive at all and kind of being, like a 500 team. I'm guessing they're going to fall somewhere in between that. Whereas like with the Chargers, you kind of see there's some talent on that team, and I think that there's a pretty decent chance, that they finish around 500, maybe a little bit better. And yeah, like maybe
500 or a little bit better. Well, I mean that would actually be pretty much double the wins that they had here in San Diego the past 2 years. So.
Yeah, but like I think they have the talent to do it at least. Whereas like I think that with the Rams, you're looking at a situation where even the best case scenario, I'm not sure they get to that point. Whereas at least the Chargers have a shot to get there, and that'll at least get them out of like laughingstock range, which is where I kind of imagine the Rams are going to be. The Rams like right now are still like a punchline. I remember. This was probably a month or two ago. The Rams announced that they had this partnership with the Laugh Factory, which is the comedy club. And my editor calls me and he's like, "Hey, write a column on this." I'm like, "Okay, well, what's the second sentence?" But that's basically where the Rams are right now in town, right? It's kind of like, okay, like here's like a funny punchline. Let's make fun of them. Like that's literally where the Rams are. So I think from the Chargers thing, if they can kind of stay out of that, and if the Rams stay in that zone for at least another year, they'll be making up some ground, I think, there.
Listen, I know no one cares about preseason, but are they getting any actual attention? Is there any traction? You might have the future #1 draft pick in Sam Darnold at USC. Josh Rosen could be one of those guys as well. I mean, the Lakers are something, especially when they have Ball. But are people paying attention to the Chargers, or is it really going to take something splashy for people to care?
It's going to take something splashy. We're not there yet, and even right now, you kind of talk about Sam Darnold. I mean, you've seen, right? We ran a big feature on him in the LA Times, Sports Illustrated, Bleacher Report. I mean, there have been Sam Darnold features everywhere, right? So I think that's one of the big stories. And then with the Balls, they just launched their reality show on Facebook.
Really?
You haven't seen this yet? And it's done by the same people that did the Kardashians. And it's surprisingly pretty watchable.
Really?
It has this kind of very slick, kind of Kardashian-like feel to it, in that like if you're into that genre of television, it's not that bad. And you actually kind of see, they bring out Lonzo's girlfriend. He's kind of a little more engaging than he is. Obviously like with the media, he hasn't been very great. Like he doesn't say more than like 6 words at a time. But here you get to see him a little bit. You got to see the way kind of the brothers interact. They actually, they bring us into the story with the mother having the stroke and her recovery, and how LeVar's basically taking charge of her, rehabilitation. It was actually not that bad. It was okay. Again, it's not my cup of tea necessarily, but like for that genre of television, it wasn't awful.
I'm not sure what to say about that. I mean, LeVar Ball, Kris Kardashian, and it's like that's what we're talking about now. Last thing, if the Chargers do go, if they continue the pace from 4-12 to 5-11, they have 6-7 wins. What happens with that? What happens with attendance and with that stadium and the buzz in LA?
Yeah, that becomes kind of a problem. And I think really though the true opening day for these teams, not just and for the Rams too, right, is really when they move into that new stadium in Inglewood. Can they fill that up? I mean, they're going to get basically like a relaunch date then. And right now, I mean, it is a tough market. You have UCLA, who I think is going to be better than people expect. I don't think SC might, SC is going to have some problems. They have some question marks, on the line and in receiver, but SC is still actually, Los Angeles' favorite football team right now, aside from maybe the Raiders.
Right.
So you have that whole Raiders thing going to Las Vegas. I mean, that's going to be an interesting dynamic too, because I could totally see fans, it's only 8 times a year. It's not that long of a drive. You can make that drive, so I could see people, making a weekend of that thing in Las Vegas. And so I think it's going to be really interesting, and I think for the challenge, again, for the Rams and the Rams and the Chargers is when they open that new stadium, can they fill that up? That's going to be the real challenge.
Last question. I think the answer is pretty obvious, really based on the preseason ratings yesterday. But of the Rams, Chargers, and the Raiders, if you could even get Raiders games now in LA, what will be the highest rated product in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I don't even think it's close. It's got to be the Raiders, especially, they have, the one thing LA really values, which is a superstar, and they have that in Marshawn Lynch. I mean, I don't know if he still plays like a superstar, but he's got the name recognition and that kind of cross-cultural appeal, which is really important in LA. And I think it's going to be interesting, again, with the Chargers. Can they develop that type of superstar? Can Melvin Gordon become that type of guy? Because I know Rivers, but unfortunately for him, is kind of on the way out. So it's going to be really important that they connect with the city on a personality level. Because I think that of all the Rams' failures last year on the field, the biggest failure that they had was their inability of any of their players to really kind of make a personality connection with the market, because it's such a personality-driven market.
Thanks, Dylan. I'll see you at StubHub because I know Plashke will find his way out of it. He already did his time.
I'll see you there.
Thanks.